welcome to another episode of Theater Talk. My name is Mike Gatzendorfer. I'm the youth program manager here at Proctor's and also the co-producer for Theater Talk. And I'm really delighted today to have some cast members with us from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So I'm going to start by having them introduce themselves, tell us their name, what part they play, and where they're from.
Hi, my name is Bryn Williams. I played Violet Beauregard. Thank you. And we moved around a lot. My dad was in the Navy, but I guess I claim Maryland as where I'm from.
Hi, I'm Jen Malenke. I played Grandma Josephine and an Oompa Loompa, and I understudied Mrs. TV, and I'm from Arkansas.
Hi, my name is Sabrina Harper. I am in the ensemble as a female swing, and I understudy Mrs. Bucket, and I am from Laguna Beach, California.
All right, so let's take some questions from the audience. Anybody have any questions? Yes, you right there.
How do you do the elevator?
How do you guys do the elevator?
The glass elevator?
The glass elevator? The glass elevator.
Go for it. Are we supposed to
I was going to say it's theater magic, but if you're thinking about a technical aspect, what is it called? It's called an accordion lift.
Yeah.
So there is an accordion lift.
And we have these tracks in the stage. They're about that wide. They're about an inch wide, and they pull things on and off the stage. So the candy shop and the Buckets house and also the elevator, they track on and off on those tracks. There's the technical terms. There's the dog. The dog is what travels across, and then you put the knife in the dog, and it's all very, very technological, but that's how it gets pulled on and off stage.
Although the bucket shack is manually pushed by our gentleman.
That's true.
Yeah, with a stagehand. So he is pushing that on and off and spinning it around with Mrs. Bucket.
Oh, wow.
So if you see like a random guy, if you saw a random guy pushing it around, we just call him the homeless guy who lives outside. We think that's Mrs. Bucket's boyfriend, but nobody asks. We're like, don't ask about it.
All right, this gentleman over here has had his hand up.
Yes, this could be a two-part question for all three of you. When did you start your acting career, and have any of you performed on Broadway?
Okay, so this is a two-part question. When did you guys start your acting career, and have any of you performed on Broadway?
You want to start, Bryn?
Sure. I started my acting career when I was 6 years old. I was a child actor in a local dinner theater in Maryland. My mom went and auditioned for the show, and she got into the show, and as she was leaving, the director said, hey, also, we're looking for a little girl to be in the show. And my mom said, well, I mean, I have a daughter. She's never done anything like this before, but she's cute and well-behaved. So I auditioned for the show, and I got into the show, and absolutely fell in love with being on stage. And then I started performing professionally. I did my first big professional show at the Paper Mill Playhouse in New Jersey when I was 9 years old. And I have been in 6 Broadway shows. My first Broadway show was when I was 12, and that was Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And my most recent Broadway show was SpongeBob SquarePants.
6! Wow, she's a star. I started when I was, I started singing basically when I was born. Well, 2 years old, I was singing in church, and my dad is a minister of music at a church, and so I was expected to sing. And our whole family sings. And I didn't get the theater bug until I was like in 8th grade, and I remember we would do little plays growing up and stuff like that, and I would do things in my living room, but I always knew I wanted to be a singer. But then I did a community theater show where my mom had to ask if I could be in it because I auditioned and I didn't get it, and I remember we were waiting for the call, and we didn't get it, and so my mom called and she goes, did she get in? And the woman's like, sure, come on and do it. I was like, yeah! But that's when I got the bug, and I didn't ever let it go. But I have been on Broadway only once, But then I've done stuff in LA. I've done TV stuff, and I've got some other things that I have circulating. So yeah.
What was the Broadway one?
I was in Into the Woods, the revival with Vanessa Williams.
Yeah.
I started also at a very young age. I want to say probably 4 or 5 years old was the first time I was on stage, being the little mouse and the Nutcracker. So my journey went from dance as a young child into TV and acting in Los Angeles. I did TV pilots, commercials, etc. Living in California, pretty much joining also our local community theater in Laguna Beach and being part of the youth ensemble. And then my journey took me over to Europe, where I ended up working for 15 years in the Opera House in Vienna, and then in multiple Broadway shows that went over to Germany and Austria and Switzerland. And that all brought me back to New York, where I went on Broadway, and I was in the revival company of Pippin. So I was on Broadway for 1.5 years with that amazing show before I went on tour with it as Fastrada, and also came here to Proctor's. So this is my second time here in Schenectady at Proctor's.
Yeah.
Yes, you right there.
How do you get to make it come to life?
What do you mean?
Really hard question. Yeah. How do you make it come to life from the script? Like, what's the process?
Okay, so the question is, how do you make the script come to life on stage?
Well, it starts with a really good director, who is Jack O'Brien, who is Tony winner. He's amazing. They have a vision, and they get together with the choreographers, the lighting designers, the tech designers, the costume designers, and they all talk about their vision, and they get it all cohesive, so we're telling the same story, and then it goes from there, and then they teach it to us in rehearsals, and we had about 4 weeks or 3 weeks? What was it, 3 weeks?
3 weeks of rehearsal
And then like 3 weeks of previews in Buffalo in tech. Yeah, the show is a beast to tech because it has so many things and so many moving parts. So it took a long time to tech it, but actually it's shorter than on Broadway too. Yeah, so we didn't have much time.
As far as the acting standpoint of it, Madeline Doherty, who plays Mrs. TV, she says that that when you're acting, when you're playing a character, what the audience sees is the overflow of information. So you as an actor have to come up with your background story, and also another director that I worked with said that when you see a show, it is a picture of a moment in time. You have to understand that all of those characters are people that have been existing before the start of the show. So you need to know I need to know what Violet was doing last week. I need to know where Violet had her 6th birthday party. I need to know all of that. And then what the audience sees is that moment in time that they just happen to sit down and gaze in on their lives. But what comes out is the overflow of information.
That is so.
And then I would just say keep it real. When you're just be you, bring you to the table, bring you to the lines, bring your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings, keeping it real. When you read a poem, what kind of emotions does it express and how are you feeling? And just say it, just speak it out with your feeling. Or when you're singing a song, how does it make you feel? What are your thoughts? And just really taking your pure emotion, being in the moment, being here and now.
Yeah.
I want to piggyback on that because everything comes from inside. All of it does. If you think you're going to make a completely separate character, it still has to have that grain of truth or people can't relate to it. So you always have to have yourself in there somewhere. So coming from inside out and making it relatable because everybody roots for the underdog, right? Everybody roots for Charlie Bucket. Bye! I like your boobs. Yay! They're like, we hated it. See you later.
You right there. You've had your hand up for a long time.
Oh, how did we by TV? How do we get the boy to disappear so fast?
You've got better hearing than I do.
Yes, theater magic. Do we say how it happened?
I don't know. Are we supposed to?
All right. So it's a lot of misdirection. So the screens are going crazy at that moment. I believe I haven't watched it since tech, but the screens are going crazy at that moment, and a lot of fog comes up, and
There are mirrors.
there are mirrors, and Danny, that's who plays Mike TV. It's kind of like an elevator that sinks down and then he crouches. So he's inside of it. And it's kind of like making a rabbit disappear. If you've ever seen like magicians make a rabbit disappear in a box, it's similar to that. So it all happens really, really quickly, and there's a stage manager calling all of the calls backstage so that it's a very intricate process, and it happens very, very quickly, so everybody has to be really, really in tune.
Yeah.
You in the corner back there. Yes.
Ah! We can't see you.
Is this our first time performing here?
Is this your first time performing here at Proctor's?
This is my second time. The first time was 215 or 216 with Pippin. Yeah.
It's my first time.
My first time too.
You right there, man.
Who played Charlie today?
Who played Charlie today?
Was that Ruby?
Ruby Wood.
That was Ruby Wood, and Ruby just celebrated his 12th birthday like a month ago.
He had about, he lives on like 2 hours away, so he had a whole lot of people here today to say hi to, so I'm sure he would have loved to be here. But.
We have 3 Charlies who rotate the role. We have Ruby Wood, Colin Jeffrey, and Henry Beauchart. Ruby and Colin just turned 12, and Henry is turning 11.
And they're all fantastic, and they all get along, and it's just, it's really fun. It's really great, these kids.
Right there.
Have you ever made a mistake on stage or like for
Have you ever made a mistake on stage?
Never, not once. I am perfect. I am perfection. Everybody wants to be me. No, I've made millions of mistakes. Oh my gosh! But it's just funny. You just have to cover it. If you get down on yourself because of a mistake, I mean, man, one time our Grandpa Joe went up and completely made up the whole scene. Like you know that you guys just saw it, right? Yeah. Okay, so the one where he's talking about, he's going. Oh, yeah. He just completely just did a monologue, and we're all just sitting there like, what do we do? What do we do? Okay, keep going. Like it happens all the time. Yeah.
I at the very end of my number, Queen of Pop. Well, there are 2. One, I sang, I chewed away the wrapper till there was a golden ticket showing, and I turned to the actor who plays my dad, and he hands me my golden ticket. Well, one show, he forgot to bring the golden ticket on stage. So we turned, and I'm singing, there was a golden ticket showing, and there's nothing in his hand, and we're like... So I had to do the rest of the number without a golden ticket. And then, about 3 shows later, during the part where I sang, and tell the stupid girl Veruca, her daddy may own the shop, but a princess ain't no match. And I like crump and I dance really hard with like the most energy that I have in that number. My ticket flew out of my hand, gone, just into the orchestra pit. And I was like, well, okay. It's human nature to make a mistake, but the cool thing about doing theater is that the actor may make a mistake, but the character is not in that moment. That is what is supposed to happen for the character. Yeah. If I fall, and I have fallen, I fell in the big giant sumo suit as I'm blowing up. It was twice.
I'm sorry to laugh, but it was quite funny. It was scary for her, but she her face landed. I was an Oompa Loompa right then, right in front of me, and I wanted to be like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah, and I couldn't get up because it's so big that it was kind of like Randy in A Christmas Story, where I was like, "Help me! I can't get up!" Like that was me. Couldn't move. Yeah, it's, the great thing about being in theater is that there is always a chance to try it again. Yeah. And for the most part, the audience doesn't realize it. So you just have to, it's not about how you fall, it's about how you pick yourself up.
Girl!
That's a great statement right there.
I read it on Facebook.
You right there, you've had your hand up for yes.
Oh, do we step on the tracks when we're dancing?
Yes.
Whoa.
Do you step on the tracks when you dance?
I have to say, with this show and our stage and the tracks, they're so minimal, they're so small and so thin that it's not that difficult. Now they're really, really small. But I've been in other productions where, depending on the set that's being moved on, it's a larger track, and I have gotten heels. Because often we'll be wearing high heels, you'll have heels stuck in the track, it's stuck, you will slip, yes. So it has definitely happened. With our show with Charlie, we're so fortunate that actually, we don't have any issues with that.
And they're down deep in the ground, so the dogs that go through are inside it. We travel our deck with us, so it's the same every time we go. It's the same everywhere we go. So like, it's not like something is sticking out of it. It's in it underneath, so you barely even notice.
Yes, you sir, right there. Yes.
Hi, one. I have my hand. What was your favorite role that I ever played?
What was your favorite role you ever
What
played?
made you want to be an actor?
And what made you want to be an actor?
I'll go. You start.
Mine was Cinderella in Into the Woods. That's my very favorite role that I've ever played in my entire life. I've done it 3 times now, and I got to play her on Broadway, and I love her. And it's weird. It's like when you find your career, you know your career, right? You know what you're supposed to do. Like when you find what feels good, and you're like, oh, this is it. This is what I have my passion for. This is what I feel alive doing. That's what I feel alive doing on stage. I feel the most alive I ever feel.
For myself, I think an absolute favorite role, I have 2. One was playing Cassie in A Chorus Line, because I come from dance, and her story, her passion, everything that this woman embodies was a dream role for me. And also, I had the opportunity to play Roxy in Chicago, and that was just... There's so many levels to this role, to this character, that I fell in love with her and I hated her every night. So those are 2 for me. And how do I know, or how did I find out I wanted to do this? It's such a hard question, really, to answer that, because you're constantly finding yourself, redeveloping yourself, questioning, am I doing the right thing? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? What else is there out there? But I remember deep down as a little girl, my mom would work in the theater, at the community theater, and she would do costumes, and she would be doing props. And I would come as a young girl, do my homework in the house, in the audience, and I just loved being in the theater. I loved the atmosphere, I loved the people, I loved being in the dark, being on stage, being backstage, everything that had to do with theater. If there was an opportunity or a chance I could be hanging out at the theater, I wanted to be there. So I found for myself, this is what I want to do and what I've always wanted to do. And I think my journey of going through acting and dancing and singing and all of this has just been a huge palette to be in the theater. But I know that, obviously you can't dance forever. There are other aspects of the theater that I love. And I think just knowing that in this community is where I want to be. So that's kind of, yeah.
And piggybacking off of that, it's like, I get this question a lot because I was a child actor, and when you're a child actor, there's a lot of doubt. And especially going into the acting industry, there's, oh, well, it's uncertain. And when my mom took me to New York to audition, we had people very, very close to me and very, very close to my family tell my mom, there are hundreds of thousands of talented people out there. What makes you think Bryn is special? And it's, really, really heady stuff, but it's a passion, and you have to ask yourself, okay, what would I rather be doing? And I can't think of a single thing that I would rather be doing than being on stage, than being in front of people and changing lives. I know it doesn't seem like I'm changing lives, but if I can tell a story and one aspect of that story can make someone think differently about someone's situation, if it can just even put a question in someone's head or show someone how another person lives, then I think I'm doing my job, and also inspiring other kids who are seeing the show and who might not get to see someone who looks like me. They can see me on stage and say, hey, she looks like me, I can do it too. So it's about representation, it's the whole package. I wouldn't do anything else.
Yeah, please, I was just going to say those are probably the most beautiful statements I've heard in a very long time, and especially nowadays, we need more of those. You got to do what you love, because that's the only true way to feel good.
Also, we need the arts. I mean, exactly
Absolutely.
what she was saying is that
Absolutely.
we absolutely do. It helps with everything else, but being on stage and doing theater, I do it because I used to think, am I selfish for doing this? I want to be a star, blah, blah, blah. No, I do it because, you know, exactly what she was saying. We're telling a story and we're making people care about someone else for a while instead of themselves, instead of being in their own little worlds. You know, we're making people care about somebody else's story and having compassion and the energy that we get from the audience. It's all an experience. It's so different than a movie. We all have this experience together, and it's really amazing.
You guys are bringing me to tears.
Don't cry!
All right, you sir, right there.
Why does the show have to be so gruesome?
Why does the show have to be so gruesome?
Ask Roald Dahl. It's actually less gruesome than the book.
Yeah, that's so. If you've seen the original 1971 Gene Wilder film,
It's pretty scary.
it's gruesome, and same thing with the 2006 Johnny Depp movie, which was far darker. Roald Dahl. If you go back and read the books, I mean, I don't know what was happening in dude's life, but he was dark. Like, if you read The Witches, children are getting tails cut off, and I mean, it's pretty dark. And for the original film, there's a whole series of books about the chocolate factory, and Roald Dahl actually hated the Gene Wilder film because he thought that they made it too fluffy. He didn't like Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka. He didn't like it, and so he refused to have any of the other movies made into books. So when the Johnny Depp movie was being made, Roald Dahl's estate said, okay, we'll agree, but you have to stay close to the book. You really have to stay close to the book, and it's similar to fairy tales. They are cautionary tales. They're children who get eaten by witches, and they're cautionary tales. They're not meant to be happy, fluffy, and
also, if you think about it, it's a magical place. They're in a magical place. If you think about it, after Veruca gets torn apart, you hear her go, "Daddy!" So you know she's not actually dead. So this, and in the movie as well, the first movie, you never see them again, but he even says, "Oh, they're fine. They're all going to go home. They're fine." It's a magical world. It's not literal. They're not. He isn't really delighting in kids dying.
This girl has had her hand up for like 25 minutes. Yes, go ahead.
Do you ever keep spare props backstage?
Oh yeah, we absolutely do. We have a couple of canes. We have a cup of Willie's cane because it lights up. We have a lot of sausages.
And just so anybody,
we have a lot of
case
bubblegum.
anybody didn't hear the question was, are there a lot of extra props backstage?
Oh, yeah.
There's also a whole bunch of bubble gum, I was going to say. There's actually a spot where it says, this is not food. Like, this is a prop, because it's just this big tub of bubble gum. Yeah.
and at any given time, there are about 14 golden tickets backstage, because sometimes things happen and they go flying into the audience or the orchestra pit.
There was one day when there was just a golden ticket on the ground and we could see it up in the bed. The grandparents could see it. And Charlie's just like, doo-doo-doo, I wish I had a ticket. Doo-doo-doo. They're like, it's right there, get
That wasn't mine. I didn't drop that one. That one wasn't me, for the record.
Have you ever caught anybody chewing your gum?
No, I haven't got anybody
We're
to
all
my gun, but
pretty good.
I did sneak some to Danny and Matt because I love them.
All right, we have time for one more question. You, sir, right there. Oh, I'll get to you. We'll do two.
I was just going to say, can you talk about how many parts as a swing do you have to know?
How many parts as a swing do you have?
In this production, I have a total of 9.
Wow.
So that's 8 ensemble positions, and is that 8 ensemble? Yeah, I believe 8 ensemble positions, and then Mrs. Bucket.
Are you paid accordingly?
I am, thanks to our union. Actors and
You don't have to answer some of these questions.
Being a swing is one of the hardest things.
Oops, sorry.
Just really quick to toot her horn. I mean, they have to go on. I've been a swing before. It is so hard because you go on at a moment's notice, and sometimes they would have it when she goes on for me or something. They'd have notes under the bed in the blankets, just to okay, which one am I doing today? So they don't know. It could be like half an hour, and they'll be like half hour before. They'll be like, "You're on for blah blah blah." It's like okay. So it's a very tough job, and the show never ever suffers when a swing goes on. It's sometimes better. Usually better. Yeah.
Okay, our last question. Then these guys got to go eat.
I want to know how you do the Oompa Loompas.
I want to know how you do the Oompa Loompas.
That is really theater magic.
Theater magic.
Yeah.
We can't give all the secrets away.
That's something that we're not allowed to do. We're not allowed to talk about it. We're not allowed to show them. Yeah, well, we can say that they are puppets. You can see that, right? They are Jim Henson puppets. It has the Jim Henson tag inside of them. It's really cool. I love because I'm a Muppet freak, and I think that's the neatest thing. But we're not really supposed to talk about how it's done.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you 3 for being here with us today. I think you guys are phenomenal. I think your cast and company is phenomenal. So congratulations on a beautiful show. And that's it for today's Theater Talk. We'll see you in April for Phantom of the Opera. Thank you again.